Totally got to give himself one of those video cassettes.
I used to have
But,
it on
What a
VHS, not the
steal.
original release, the re-release.
yeah. Hey, welcome to another episode of Spear from the Past. We're here going straight to the first WrestleMania, and it's going to be a fun ride. We've got JBO here. JBO, how's it going? How did you get into wrestling?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? No, I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me, Malcolm. Excited to be here to revisit the first ever Mania of almost the colossal tussle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as far as just as a fan wise, man, I'm a day one ish kid, as the cool kids say. I'm a '90s baby. My brother was into it. My dad was into it. It's the only sport that I care about, except for basketball for 5 minutes when Space Jam came out. But besides that, it's the only sport that I really care about here. Fell in love with it. Later on, got into it too. I've done ring announcing, commentary, graphic design. I've refed. I've done it all, baby, on a very low level, but I've done it all.
And we've also here got Richie Liberace Goodacre. Richie, how's it going?
Going good. Yeah.
Here to
Uh,
give wedgies and kick ass.
yeah. Yeah, punk, I'll shove you in a locker. Uh, yeah. But no, I sort of, I guess I've been a fan since, yeah, probably the 90s. I started playing like this, I think I got into it playing the SmackDown one video game, and then I just had a close friend in school who was into the wrestling, so I got watching it, and then yeah, I came hooked. Yeah, I've not as not as regularly as JPO, obviously, but I have done stuff within the local wrestling scene here, like just ring announcing and stuff. Obviously, not wrestling. That'd be a miracle. But yeah,
I'll put you
and
over. I'll book you.
yeah, I can't say that I don't like other sports because I've got a Phoenix Suns hat on. But yeah,
And I don't even know what the Phoenix Suns is. Is that basketball again?
it's a basketball.
Hey, I figured it out.
Yeah. But
What is your T-shirt, Richie?
Britt Baker.
Nice. Okay, I can tell that was Shawn Michaels or who. I was like, who's
It's a large picture of Britt Baker. I like how large it is. It was so obnoxiously large. I'm like, I love this shit.
nice.
um, but yeah, I'm not going to sort of repeat myself every week, but just for the first few episodes, I'll go my backstory a little bit. I got into wrestling just because back in 2008, like from one of my exes, that so I ended up I was 8 hours watching it the pay per view. I think it was one of the Summer Slams. I can't remember which one it was. Honestly, I'll remember it when we eventually get to it.
Who was on it? Remember
but
that?
but yeah, and I've just been a fan ever since. Like, just been playing the games and all that. So yeah, I'm relatively new to all this.
Quick question: is your ex single?
I don't know. I don't. It's one of my exes.
A lady that likes wrestling. Tell her I said what's up.
I mean, they are rare to they are hard to they are rare and they're hard to come by. So I get what.
Yeah. I found something that put up with it. I've yet to date somebody that like legitimately likes it. I've had ones that were like, "We'll put it with because of me," but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to say I was born when the first WrestleMania happened, but I wasn't. It happened like 11 days before I was born. So, but
I was barely a twinkle in my dad's eye.
I was 5 years away before I left him with the nutsack.
but time to get into the show. It started off with Mean Gene Okerlund. It started off with Mean Gene Okerlund singing the national anthem.
His rendition was hilarious. His rendition was, I'm going to go through this as fast as possible because I'm uncomfortable doing it. And the boy, all they lied. He was basically talking it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if he was just Vince just kind of, you're in the ring now. go sing this national anthem. I'm just like,
No, I think this is before they started actually like doling it out to someone special. It was always like, you're the
yeah,
ring announcer, you do it. Yeah.
You had Liberace there, and you had Cyndi Lauper, but I don't know. They
I bet you they
just...
both would have wanted much more money, and they probably didn't have.
uh, but yeah, but it was a weird choice, but it is what it is. I think. And then I'll get into this one. And then they had like I can't remember his name. It was Lord Alfred Hayes or
Oh man, he looked. He was hilarious in the show, unintentionally. But yeah, Lord Alfred Hayes, who was the announcer, I wrote down had the energy of a guy who has a gun to his back, reading the reading type problem. He looked so nervous. The next one, I don't know if it was his first day on the job, but yeah, he would get better. But
yeah, it was also kind of awkward too. Like because he would throw to the pre-recorded interviews, but there's definitely a few times where you could still see the wrestlers sort of walking down the ring, so it kind of took out the mystique of the pre-recorded interviews. Of just seeing
yeah,
and we'll definitely get into this with a couple of them. Like I found this one a little bit weird because not everyone got an entrance music, but some people just like got the whole walking past Alfred Hayes type of
Yeah, we're
entrance.
still in that era where it's not necessarily common at all for everyone. This is before everybody had it. Like this is the day of. It's just
Yeah,
now kind of happening. Hogan's got it. Maybe some of the bigger people, but yeah, no, we're still in that very much in that era where no, it's go out and wrestle. Like it wasn't until people like Hogan and the Freebirds and slightly others that were like, oh, let's have a
yeah,
little flash and pomp into our entrance. You know.
yeah. It was
but
like maybe early night. It was probably like the early '90s until it was a regular staple for all the wrestlers to have entrance themes. Pretty much.
It's right in the cusp here. Yeah, late '80s is where it's starting to almost happen, and then yeah, finally in the '90s, I think, which everybody's got an entrance. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, going into the first match, which was Tito Santana versus the Executioner. Tito like defeated the Executioner. I don't know if it's ever revealed who the Executioner actually is because they've kind of teased this whole big reveal in there, but
No, I think it's very much but my first ever indie event, the main event was Jake the Snake Roberts versus the Executioner, aka local guy in a mask. Because yeah,
yeah,
it's the most mundane outfit this guy has. It's underneath the mask is Buddy Rose, who would wrestle for the WWF as a jobber, kind of on and off for a little while here. Only pay per view match ever, Buddy Rose, by the way, this one and only match. So good match to have. You opened up Mania, buddy. At least we'll always have that underneath. And he did, unfortunately, pass away, by the way, about over a decade ago. But yeah, just kind of a mundane. I think that's all it was. It's still the '80s. They're not. What's funny about this one is they obviously have hopes for it because of the main event is huge, but I don't think they
yeah,
necessarily booked it like they obviously would today, which is huge stars, big matches. It's very much kind of a normal '80s show sometimes with some of these matches, as in this one right here. This is
Well,
kind of nuts that this 4.5 minute match is the first ever Mania match ever.
yeah,
Santana will go on to have a decent career there. El Matador, he fought Shawn Michaels in his first singles match in Mania and whatnot.
well, especially because that while during this match they're talking about how the fact he has a feud with like Greg the Hammer Valentine, and you would see later on he shows up like, why not just do the match at WrestleMania? That's a blow off thing at WrestleMania.
Well, that's
You
the
would do
thing. Yeah, I don't. They really didn't have that foresight. Like this wasn't necessarily the blow off. Like for a lot of things, this was just kind of here and here, and then some forced on to the celebrities and Hogan.
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, because I think I don't know if WWE were doing like any kind of like TV show at this point of there. So this is probably the first time a lot of these people are knowing some of these wrestlers as
No.
well.
So they've been. I mean, they're on TV for several years at this point, but it's not the TV we've come to notice now, which is again
Yeah,
huge
yeah,
matches. Main event is, what I mean, people or a world title match. TV was very much meant to sell the live show originally. You know what I mean? And then even
yeah,
even in
yeah,
the early days of Raw, like your main event is Undertaker and Damian DeMonto, and then sometimes it was a squash match. The main event would have been the Steiner brothers killing Joe and Schmo. Like at this
yeah.
point, the TV is meant to just kind of sell the live experience, and in this case, sell something like a Mania. Yeah. So there's TV, but it's not like the TV we know today.
Yeah. No, I figured that might have been the case, but yeah. But moving on, we had a very quick match between King Kong Bundy and Special Delivery Jones.
He's
Which
getting down, baby. He's getting down. He's
yeah,
going down, and
which which I think was 25 seconds, but I think they said on the show was 9 seconds or something. But Richie, what do you thought
Yeah,
about
weird
this?
discrepancy of them overselling. Yeah, because it's definitely closer to 30 with bell to bell, which is what you do technically as a timer. But
Yeah,
they definitely like oversold. Like that's only 9 seconds. Not really.
but
yeah,
Yeah,
Richie, what did
first
you
ever.
think of
I
this?
will obviously the first ever squash in Mania history. Not a very common thing. It would happen here and there. Earthquake beat Adam Bomb pretty quickly. The Hearts a few years later had like a quick tag victory. Kane and Chavo. Like I guess the famous one is probably Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. Technically, that's a
Yeah,
squash. So yeah, so it doesn't happen too often, but this is the first sign of it happening.
yeah,
1 year
yeah,
later, King Kong Bundy is main eventing.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't know where because I haven't really seen much of St. Jones really. So I guess he was just that perennial
I know
jobber.
him from this, and he got an action figure. That's the two things I know from him.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I feel bad that he was just totally jobbed out here. But it's a big guy. You want to put him over.
Yeah,
Um,
like this is This is to a degree like what you would see on TV. Maybe a little bit longer sometimes, but yeah, but this would have been
yeah.
a normal TV match.
This would be equivalent of like putting almost. I mean, other than the fact we know who S.G. Jones is, it'd be almost the equivalent of like putting like Braun Strowman versus a local jobber on the WrestleMania card.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, but yeah, it gets served its purpose of making him a monster. But sure, otherwise, if it was a proper, it just happened like years later. I'd be like, what? This doesn't need to be in the card.
yeah. Yeah. But next up we had Ricky Steamboat facing off against Matt Bourne, who
Join the clown.
yeah, I was beginning that who would famously
You're
become
stealing
Joint the Clown.
Malcolm's.
But yeah, look, this is. I mean, I I didn't really know I know much about either Matt Bull or Joint Clown. I don't think I've ever seen his matches before, but he look, it was a decent match. Like, and it was one of those ones like I've always enjoyed like Ricky Steamboat. I've seen a few of his matches. I think obviously he's a good wrestler in that. So like, a it was a good match. But JP, what did you think of Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Ford?
It was another alright match. Like yeah, like I actually kind of I mean just right at the cusp. If we're rebooking this thing, maybe we would have put this first here because you at least have two guys that are in good shape that look like actual wrestlers. I would have put this first over Tito and Master Dude in sweatpants. Yeah, I think Steamboat's in great shape here too. I enjoy the gear too. It's obviously very simple, but it's different than the tights that I would come to more notice Steamboat in for the most part here. And no, I mean it was fine. Again, given pretty much the exact same amount of time as the first one here. Again, this to me is again a perfect example of what you would kind of see on TV at the time. But no, it's fine. Steamboat looks good. He of course would steal the show a couple years later with Savage and Mania 3. I want to say this is Bourne's only pay per view appearance, definitely. I think as Bourne, except for
Yeah.
being Doug the Clown years later.
And Richard, what did you think of Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Bourne?
Yeah, I mean, I love Ricky Steamboat. It's probably the first time I've seen Matt Bourne without doing. I mean, I saw him a bit in ECW. He was in ECW for a little while, but his first time, yeah. And I always liked Matt Bourne. He was the only good joint in the clown. But yeah, yeah. And I thought this match was one of the better matches on the show, to be honest. And yeah, it was fun. It was one of the better matches on the show. And yeah, I feel bad. One of the things we've got to mention too is like sometimes when they do the backstage promos with Mean Gene, they clearly only get like 30 seconds, and like if Ricky Steamboat's cutting a promo, and then Mean Gene just cuts him off. It's like, oh, that's yeah, it happened like all through the show. Just they like, oh yeah, do it and cut him off. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, yeah. No, I thought this match is good as well. Yeah, one of like I said, one of the better matches on the show. Yeah, both these guys can work really well. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Matt Bourne Dark Side of the Ring, it's actually pretty intriguing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Then next up we had Brutus the Barber Beefcake with his manager Johnny Valiant defeating David Sammartino with his I want to say his father. I
His,
remember I was
his
reading up
father,
about
his
yeah
father,
his father Bruno is the manager.
and
This
not
was
the
the
Barber Beefcake, actually, just Brutus Beefcake.
okay. I mean, it's just the way I know about it. That's
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But yeah, it's before his barber gimmick.
um, but yeah, like this match was 11 minutes. Like it, it, I don't think it needed to be that long. It was kind of slow. It was like it's one of those ones like I know a lot of the crowd probably at this point in time they would have known Bruno. I don't know how much like David got a lot of um mention in that, but um I think this is like it was a fine match for what it was, but I think it's just it didn't keep my interest a lot of the time though. But JPO, actually, Richie, what did you think of Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino?
Yeah, this match didn't need to go 11 minutes. David Sammartino was never really a great worker. Yeah, I will say it's unfortunate because I mean he's got a lot of shoes to fill. Like Bruno is one of the biggest wrestlers of all time. Obviously he got a big pop, but yeah, Bruno. I mean David's nowhere near as good. He's not good at all. And Brutus Beefcake. He's decent at all the gimmicks he gave him, but like he was never a great wrestler either. And so you put them in the ring together. Uh, yeah, doesn't make for an exciting match, and the crowd didn't really gel with it either. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would definitely. This is definitely first WrestleMania because you would not put this on a WrestleMania card.
Yeah,
This would be like maybe a dark match on I don't know, on a TV.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
especially with the fact that they had it ended a double disqualifications. Like, if you're going to have it ended a disqualification, don't have it go on for 11 minutes. But
Yeah.
JBO, what do you think of Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino?
Yeah, no, this isn't very good. Yeah, this is slow. Give some of these minutes maybe to Steamboat and Porn. Like, yeah, this they're trying hard probably for David, because he is the son of at this point their biggest star ever. You know what I mean? Because we're just kind of starting on the Hulkamania tour and whatnot. So at this point, their biggest star ever, Bruno's kid. So yeah, no, he wouldn't grow to have much more TV time. He's kind of now sometimes references like when those like oh man, sometimes you get Charlotte Flair and sometimes you get David Sammartino. You never quite know with these second generation kids. And yeah, and then as Richie said too, Brutus is kind of the definition of like kind of okay, very like just 80s, like fine. And so I think when his dance partner's not that great either, you're gonna get a match like this. Yeah, it wasn't that good.
But next up we had Greg Valentine with his manager Jimmy Hart, who was busy the first WrestleMania. He was like he was also the manager in with King Kong Bundy as well. Defeating Junkyard Dog for the Intercontinental Championship. Well, I say defeated Biz. We'll get to that a little bit later, but like Biz then like at the end of the match because Greg does the dirty pin using remote, which the referee always doesn't see, and then Tito Santana comes out to restart the match, and then Greg just stays out of the ring, and then Junkyard Dog ends up winning by count out. But I mean, the match itself, like I think it was a entertaining match for the most part. And it's just, like, and I'm honestly like I do think the finish of the restart and having Junkyard Dog win by count. I know it's a whole storyline thing most likely, but it's like it just kind of sullied the match a little bit. But JP, what do you think of Greg Valentine versus Junkyard Dog?
I mean, it's a step above from the last match. I think you got some good charisma here from JYD. Obviously, as something I'll say still to this day here, definitely didn't like the fact that we kind of back to back to kind of shitty finishes here. DQ followed by a count out, especially on pay per view. I'm not a big fan of. Obviously, this is very not early days. This is day number one more or less. So it's kind of understandable more looking back on it, but it doesn't hold up great upon rewatch where it's just kind of back to back like that. So again, it was good. It's not a hell of a stellar match here. I probably would have also given it to JYD. I think he was pretty over with the crowd, and I think he should have actually had the title. Would have made it for a nice Mania moment instead of Greg the Hammer Valentine, who continue to have the same amount of charisma for the next like 30 years. This dude.
Yeah, and also I actually forgot to mention Junkyard Dog was I believe he was the first wrestler at the Mania to have a full entrance as well.
Mm.
Um, but Richie, what did you think of Greg Valentine versus Junkyard Dog?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. It wound the crowd up a little bit just because Janky Dog is like a star. I think that is that rock and wrestling connection thing that they were doing. That's why a lot of celebrities and Sydney Lauper's on this card. Is why it kind of helped WrestleMania happen. But and that's probably why like Junkyard Dog got like so over. So yeah, I think it woke up the crowd a bit. The promo Greg Valentine cut before that, that's probably the most fiery I've seen Greg Valentine, because he's usually, while he's a decently always been a decent wrestler, he's been pretty boring on the mic, just very the same sort of expression on his face all the time. I wasn't a huge fan of the finish, especially like after the DQ, and it was count out and the referee was counting so fast. It's like, dude, that's unfair. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that, and then the title can't change hands on count out. I always think that's silly. It's just been a long pet peeve wrestling rule that's been ingrained for like probably decades now. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think I would have given it to JYD here as well.
Yeah. But next up, we've got the Iron Sheik, which my autocorrect on my notes called him the Iron Sheen. I don't know
that's low budget.
I'm breaking your notes back, make them humble.
That's a low budget version in the Iron Sheen. The you can get on you can get them on Sheen.
On Temu.
But we've got the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov defeating the US Express, which is Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo for the WWF Championship. I actually like this is one of the I actually quite like this match. I think it was a lot of fun, and like Iron Sheik I've always think is just one of these entertaining kind of wrestlers he does, especially with his promos and all that as well. I kind of had a lot of fun with this match. But Richie, what did you think of the Iron Sheik and Nikolai versus the US Express?
Yeah, I like Iron Sheik as a character and like the tag team. I never have been a huge fan of like the matches necessarily, but like I thought this match was decent. I thought it was fun. I think Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, who had gone to the IRS. It was actually they're pretty good wrestlers, so that definitely helped. It's probably first time because US Express just recently got inducted. That was the first time I forgot they were at WrestleMania 1, to be honest, to be fair. It was a fun match. And then good heel heat when they won the tag title. I thought it was okay. Yeah, one of nothing too wrong with it, not blow away, but it was good.
JPO, what did you think of the Iron Sheik and Volkov versus the US Express?
This is kind of almost a pleasant surprise, actually, because on paper I wasn't necessarily like gung ho for like a lot of the matches, but I thought no, this was a good old school, just like good back and forth heel face match. Everyone kind of did their job. This is kind of, I feel like, the last like prime heyday of Iron Sheik. It's so fun seeing him move around. You know what I mean? Windham, who I've always thought was kind of underrated, doing really good stuff here as well. And just my little quick note too is, did you notice at the beginning, the commercial you played totally had Sheik and Volkov holding those titles? Spoilers.
Yeah, that's like it's like when WWE would bring out they bring out the DVDs, and I think one of the DVDs for Money in the Bank one year was like Cena holding the briefcase. Like I'm just like, okay, don't need more.
Yeah, Oh, okay. Yeah, now we're gonna go off on a whole new tangent. I'll be quick, I swear. Yeah, the last few years of DVDs, and they've slowed down obviously tremendously. I think there's foreign pay per views are still being made. I'm not sure, but because they've stopped making like best ofs already for sure. I'm not even sure if they do the pay per views, but yeah, towards the end, I remember occasionally they would just have shit where it was like, here's the guy holding the title after the match, and I'd be like, that's kind of annoying because like I feel like giving enough time, like I like if I grab like if in the 2000s I grab a 90s Mania, like I might forget who won. Like I don't know. I just thought that was
Yeah,
annoying. Don't show spoilers on your
yeah,
TV.
yeah,
But that feels like such an outdated thing to be mad at. Never mind. All right, even I feel
yeah.
silly.
Yeah, but yeah, then as well. No, totally get that point. It's, but for a lot of these, I'm actually like, unfortunately, with some of these pay-per-views that we've been doing, hasn't been, they haven't had like the special WB like skit type advertisements for the shows. At least I
Yeah.
couldn't find. But but anyway, the next match we had was Andre the Giant defeating Big John Studd in a body slam challenge. Which I want to say um it was like 5 minutes when it didn't need to be. Yeah, but it was just like these two big guys just trying to body slam someone. It was like it wasn't really that interesting. Like, and it was Andre's career versus money or something like that.
Yeah,
It
no,
was,
it's like yeah, yeah. Andre gets nothing out of it really, other than to save his. I guess he gets to save his career, but like, yeah, big John Studd gets more out of it. Yeah, I don't know. It was
but
confusing. I guess Andre. Yeah, I don't know. It was yeah.
but JPO, what did you think of this body slam challenge?
Malcolm, you said it perfectly. It's about a little over 5 minutes. It's barely almost 6. It's like 5:50. I think I just looked. And yeah, it feels a little too long. That's not a good sign when you want to trim down a 6 minute match. Yeah, no, this is unfortunately just two guys that I'm not too. I know Andre. You can find some better like moving Andre stuff back in the day. I gotta maybe look at Big John Studd because I know he's also a legend. Who would go on to even win the Rumble a few months later, or a year later. But yeah, this isn't great. It's kind of a gimmicky match too, so that's even I feel like limiting them even more. And they really tried milking Andre these last few years because this dude will continue to be in Mania for the next 5 years after this.
Um, and Rich, what did you think of this body slam challenge?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they did a few of these over the next few years, and then they tried to do the same thing with Yokozuna later on, but not at WrestleMania. But yeah, a fun fact too. I mean, I know people always go, "Oh, Hulk Hogan, body slam on Andre." Harley, if you look online, Harley Race did it before him, but yeah,
I believe they're
but
not even. I don't even think it's just them too. I think it's just one of those fun like because they were obviously in smaller companies on like maybe not even on national television. So yeah, it's
yeah,
a couple of them.
but yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, I probably if you want to see like I don't know if there's much footage out there, but if you want to see like maybe Andre's physical sort of best, maybe it's like in the 70s he could move. Like he's still not like he can like even though it's not great, it's actually better than what he would be like. Yeah, like get just in a probably like 5 6 he'd be on 5 6 years from now he'd be on crutches. So uh,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
no, it's one of those ones. I remember when Hogan body slammed Andres, like they used the term "the slam heard around the world." I'm pretty sure they used that. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure they used that term in this match. After this match, it's like the slam heard around the world. It's like,
yeah. Well, Jesse Ventura tried to coin something. It was very similar.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I just figured it's quite funny. There was like caught on when it was Hogan that did it. Like, but anyway.
yeah.
Um, Next up, we had the women's match, which was Wendy Richter, Cindy Lauper versus Leilani Kai with the Fabulous Moolah as the manager for the women's championship. And yeah, and Wendy Richter one it's one of those ones like this I this match was kind of fine, but it also like didn't work a lot for me at the same time. But JB, what do you think of Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai? I don't know if JPO's frozen or
No, he'll come.
I was for a second. You can let Richie go first on this one.
yeah, Richie, what do you thought about Wendy Richter?
I know. Yeah, all right. I wasn't prepared. I thought it was fine. I think Wendy Richter can work. I think they both can work actually. But yeah, I thought it was fine. For what it was. I've certainly seen like worse from this era. Like Leilani Kai, and I mean, for some reason, like I'm curious to know how old Leilani Kai was in this match because she looked old. But yeah, it did what it needed to do. I think it was just. I feel like it was on the card because of the optics of like Sydney Lauper being out there, and you're like, yeah, cool. We got Sydney Lauper on the show, yay! But yeah, and I don't know. It was what it was, and it is interesting the era they're in because they call it the Ladies Championship, the ladies. Yeah. But yeah, it was okay.
JP, what are your thoughts about Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai?
No, yeah, it was good. It was decent. Yeah, I thought the finish was good, and good job on them being the first ever, women on WrestleMania, and maybe I have a personal connection with Lana Kai, so I want to be nice. And what do you think, Malcolm?
Yeah, you're not going to shit on Lana Kai. That's why you want me to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see what I need. So I actually didn't take a lot of notes on this match. Like, I liked it for what it was, but it's just it could have been better. But next up we've got the main event, which was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff with Cowboy Bob Orton as the manager.
Well, before that, we had people and announced people, which was very funny and awkward because we had like Howard Finkel announced like a baseball guy. I guess I don't follow baseball, but he could not work out the mic thing. Yeah, with the yeah, and it was just like you're talking away from it. Howard Finkel like pushed it to him, and then it was moving away, and he eventually had to hold it, and he still couldn't really hear him because of the crowd. It was awkward.
Yeah, and like your Liberace announced as a special guest timekeeper, Muhammad Ali. He was announced as the special guest referee, but I think Pat Patterson was the actual referee. It was like,
and you couldn't really hear what he's supposed to be announced as because the crowd you couldn't hear the announcer over the crowd. Like, it's Muhammad Ali. Okay.
Yeah, so that all that was really confusing. But into the match, like I thought the match was pretty good. Like it was the Murphy main event. Was Hogan the champion at this point, or
Yeah.
So I mean, so so yeah, I don't know if there was a kind of a storyline for why he was in this tag match, didn't need to defend his championship and that, but
Specifically Mr. T. I mean, Mr. T is a huge commodity. They were able to put him on the show, so you're not going to have Mr. T in a singles match. They kind of tried that a year later, and it sucks. So I mean,
is that the
that's really
boxing thing with? Was that the boxing thing?
Yeah, that's his boxing match.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, I wasn't too upset with it because what the match we got was like pretty good, and it's one of those ones like Mr. T definitely could wrestle Like he definitely did. Well, that's why it's kind of been ish. Like he definitely did a good job. Like, but um, but yeah, that's definitely why they put him in a tag team match though, because I think it worked a little bit better for his. But JP, what did you think of Hulk Hogan, Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff?
Yeah, no, I mean this was all right. Yeah, this is not the Mania main event that I think would succeed today, but for the time and place, everyone's over here. You know, the pop, the circumstances there, the intros, like it all works pretty well here, and it still makes fun for a fun main event. It's still definitely one of the better matches on the card. I think just based on how everything's presented, and the work in his inside is actually not too bad too for the most part.
Um, but Richie, what are your thoughts about Hulk Hogan, Mr. T facing off against Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff?
Yeah, I think this is obviously a quick produced main event. It was also again it's coming off it's coming off Rocky 3, which they're both in, but also the Rock and Wrestling cartoon that they've been doing. So it's like they're playing off that as well, and so yeah, it's like two big stars. Yeah, and you don't want to put team in a singles match. You want to hide them. Although yeah, like I said, they risked doing that the year after. It wasn't great. But yeah, and Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper can work a decent match. Fun fact that you probably wouldn't know about, but like yeah, so the Bob Orton was in the thing. His hand was actually broken, but I think the cast stayed on for like 2 years or something. It just never healed properly for
Yeah, he's rocking that cast. I think he might be rocking that cast at Mania 3 even. Like, yeah,
yeah. So yeah, like I don't know what happened with the hand, but it just didn't heal for a while, for a long ass time, and then yeah, so yeah, but this it was fun. Crowd dug it. Hulkamania is yeah, yeah, they're definitely clearly got a huge star on their hands here with Hulk Hogan, and yeah, it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the one thing I do find interesting though is like it was like a 2 hour event, but like looking at the match times, it looks like it's like just under an hour of actual wrestling on the
Yeah, I was even
yeah
surprised when you click it on Peacock. It's at 2:15, and even
yeah
the commercial you played earlier. I don't know if it was 2:15 or if they edited it down to two because they're like 2 hours of wrestling.
yeah.
Which, normally now it's at least three. It has been for a long time. If not,
It's like watching a
Mania now,
2019 Raw.
Mania now is actually four. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was just really interesting. It definitely shows like how much stuff they had in between, like some of
Yeah.
these. It's like
I mean, to be fair though, especially WWE, like they've continued that trend, man. I mean, like that's something me and my dad have always noticed. Is like there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of excess. Raw is a huge criminal of that, where it's like replays and entrance. They'll spend more time on entrances than they will for matches sometimes.
yeah
That's why I like AEW sometimes as far as wrestling goes because they'll skip entrances sometimes to get to the wrestling. It's like WWE refuses to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember like there was that that period of time or that in the mid 2000s like oh yeah cool of course it's Raw so we're gonna have a 15-minute Evolution promo. All right, go. It's just very formulaic like that. Oh yeah, and then like maybe in the late 2000s, like, yeah, in like 2019. Oh cool, Baron Corbin's coming out to talk a lot. All right, cool. So yeah, you still have that. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. But one thing I've been doing with these each week is doing if you could go back in time and change one booking decision. JPO, if you could go back in time and change one booking decision about any of the matches on this card, what would you do?
It's funny. And someone might have a bigger, better answer, but I was gonna try to cheat and say two things, and then I realized, oh wait, I can do two and one. Let's make your opener JYD winning the IC title. That's what I would have changed. Start off with the good. Everyone knew who that was. No one in that audience that they gave a shit about Executioner, and I think even Tito's pretty new at that point. So it's kind of a cold whatever match, and it's weird that's your first ever Mania match. Start off with an IC title change.
Um, but Richie, if you could go back in time and change any booking decision on the card, what would you change?
I would take out Brutus Beefcake and David Sammartino and put something else in there, or just give or just have more time given to Tito Santana. So technically that's two things, but mainly just take out the Brutus
You
Beefcake.
mean more time to Steamboat?
More time to Steamboat. I mean, yeah.
Like Tito Santana was good. They don't need more than 5.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was also going to get initially going to go this very similar route of JPO of just moving the Intercontinental match earlier, but like it's one of those ones like not necessarily changing Junkyard Dog like winning or having Junkyard Dog win, but move it to the start and
Oh
just
no,
take out the
You want to start off with a huge babyface win. I think that would have been smart to do. You don't want to start off with a whimper of a count out.
yeah
You
no I
gotta
mean
change it to JYD winning. Otherwise, if JYD doesn't win the title, leave it where it is. Then
yeah no I mean it's one of those ones like I get that logic, but it's one of those and I know I'm probably definitely coming at it from a different perspective because I'm relatively new to like watching new-ish to wrestling anyway. And but it's like to me like just opening up with a bang of a match because I was going to take out the whole count out situation anyway. But yeah, I totally get your views for having Junkyard Dog winning as well. Like,
well, just especially if it's the opener, because I'm a fan of like especially for the first ever Mania, like you should start off like really hot, like, and I think that would have had the fans really orgasming if like JYD was really over won in that
yeah,
first match. I think that would have helped the next 2 to 4 matches momentum
oh
wise.
yeah,
Yeah. Normally, I would critique Hogan not defending the title either, but like this is a special circumstance of like Mr. T is pretty effing huge right now. Like they even had like SNL spots, like so like I that part I do defend. Like I get why.
yeah. Um, but um, but JPO, what are your overall thoughts about the first WrestleMania, and what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Yikes. I mean, it's fun to look back on because you know what I mean. It's fun to see kind of like the progression of where wrestling is, whether it's the video editing. I actually like how it was shot though. By the way, like I actually like it's pretty basic, couple cams, but like I think they were pretty good with the zooms and it's at least like the what's on Peacock, like it looks pretty good. Like I have no qualms of the quality of footage too. Um, Not many matches were great. Like I said, the match of the night is probably the tag titles or the tag main event, and even that's like a 3-star match if I'm being nice. So like, it's definitely one I would watch for fun if you're a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? Like you said, not a lot of people have music, so that's kind of interesting here. Um, and it's Mania, so like it's a 5-star as far as like just importance wise. And I would go out of my way to watch it, but like as a show, 2 stars. Like I don't know. I feel like this is the best I can really do.
But Richie, what were your overall thoughts about the first WrestleMania, and what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Yeah, because I don't want to be like too harsh on it because it's their first one. It was their first one.
Yeah, it's a weird like tryout too. That's why like I'm very torn on. Usually I'd be more significant on my rating, but this one's up there.
Yeah, it's their first one, and I don't think they realize. They wouldn't to know at the time what juggernaut they had on their hands really. And what it would become. So yeah. And I'm sure if they could go back, they would do a lot of booking, change a lot of booking decisions as well.
Yeah,
But I like sort of like JPS. I think like if you're curious, as pure curiosity, I'd say must watch. If you want to watch the history of WrestleMania and like how it was first presented, watch the show. But as just a show in isolation, like pure like as far as matches and that go, it's not great. I'd probably give it like 2.5, maybe.
yeah. It looks like we're all on that similar page because like I think it was like pretty like for importance. I do think it's 5 stars for importance because I think it's definitely one of those ones that is important, especially if you want to see the progression of WrestleMania from the way it began to the way you
Yeah.
see it now.
We've had 40
Um,
of them since this, 39.
yeah. But yeah.
Or more than
I'm also
40. There's 2 nights now. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm also going to sort of give it a 2 out of 5 stars as well.
Yeah.
But because yeah, like I think JPO summed it perfectly. Like there's a couple of good matches there, but a lot of them were ones that like either didn't need to be there or didn't need to be as long as they were. But it's time to sort of see what the next pay per view that is going to come up will be.
Oh, yeah, cool.
The reel is spinning.
It's very late.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see it spinning.
Oh, we are
WCW.
going to WCW Slamboree 1993.
Oh, Threat 3, that might be all right. It's when you get to the late 90s, 2000s. Like,
Maybe some Vader and Stinger on that? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
1993. It's the one that it's their first Slamboree.
Legend. Oh, this is a weird one. This is a weird one because you also have some legends on this, like Dory Funk Jr. fights Nick Bockwinkel.
Wahoo!
Yeah, you got 10 matches on this show. 10 matches.
Yeah.
You mean that the Dory Funk that's going to have a match soon, dude?
Hell yeah. Your main event is the British Bulldog versus Vader. So I was right on Vader.
I think does it? I've seen bits and pieces of that. Yeah.
But
giving it away, but there's an impressive.
The Prisoner. Who the hell's the Prisoner?
It's funny because one of the managers on this card is Robert Parker, who is
Colonel Parker, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not the same Robert Parker that competed in the fan league because
No.
and it is
Colonel Parker.
But with that does bring us to the end of Spear from the Past for this week. JPO, where can people find you online?
Yes, you can find me over at the Periscope. You'll see these faces pop on there from time to time. We're doing lots of movie trivia, including wrapping up the team's tournament pretty soon here, I believe. Oh, it's for tomorrow. And let's see, Pierce Wrestling, something I do. We talk a lot of wrestling over at Pierce Wrestling channel. I have exclusive matches on there. I have interviews with guys like TJ Perkins, other people in the leagues, WWE or TNA, Jim Bro Ellie, many more. And then speaking of wrestling, every Thursday you'll find me, Richie, the Pester, and the Barber. This time Jacob, not Brutus, talking about wrestling every Thursday over at the Lonely Marks. Find that on Lonely Marks on YouTube. And also find me kicking ass on Full Metal, baby. I'm coming for you. I'm ending this year hot, undefeated. I'm saying it now. Unless I lose, then I won't be.
But Richie, we can be upon you online.
When you're not beating up nerds, where are you at, Richie?
Oh, that's all I do. I'm down by the bleachers making out with hot women. No. I'm you can find me at Lonely Mars. I think this week we're going to be reviewing a 2000 Nitro from November, so that should be interesting. Probably not very. That will have a lot of segments, you can find it for JPO's channel doing movie trivia and doing wrestling sometimes as well. Tournament fights will pop up on there, and Wheel of Movies. The next Wheel of Movies will be we'll get to Godfather Part 3, Mark, and we'll get to Godfather Part 3. Just had a few delays because people, unfortunately, influential people keep passing away. Which I guess, speaking of which, will be the next Wheel of Movies after that will be The Shining, in tribute to Shelley Duvall, and then the one after that will be Mallrats in tribute to Shannon Doherty. So yes, We'll get to the actual wheel eventually. Like just
I don't know, dude. Everyone's, and then as soon as you
Yeah,
get to it,
but-
someone else is gonna die. And you're like, fuck.
like well-known actors, please, hold off for a bit.
Is it
Okay?
Richard Simmons in Doodle? You gotta do that Doodle.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think who was in. Has anyone got Doctor Dolittle on their list? Or have you got
Oh, I
have you
meant
got the right
Nutty Professor. Is he in
Nutty
Is he in
Professor?
Nutty
Oh yeah, Nutty
Professor?
Professor. He might have. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So yeah, no. So that's what I got going on.
Maybe he just watches the tape. I can't remember.
And you can find me on Take Free Productions for the Roast, ranking every week. Next week we've got top 12 Tatum movies. But you can also find me on Spiff on the Past each week as we talk about WCW Slamboree 93 next week. Haven't started with the guest review for that one yet.
You're gonna get spun
Obviously,
it, so.
obviously because I just spun it. So, but you can also find me hosting trivia on Full Metal. This is I announced it on the page. This is the final year of Full Metal. So again, to go out and bang, trying to get some people who haven't played at all, or in a while, like former players, to try and entice them back for one last match. But you can, as well as setting up a massive championship match for the end of the year as well. But
Which I will win.
uh, but that is the end. And keep watching wrestling.
Keep spearing shit.
Brother.